Cooking with Digimon explores some upcoming elements that are going to be even released in Japan, in particular, EX8. In my opinion, Fortitude is a pretty cool keyword that demonstrates the tenacity of Digimon. Whenever I see Heavyleomon, I can't help but think of Captain America and how he could just do this all day. But jokes aside, today's cooking video looks at ways to continuously reload those Digimon with that Fortitude keyword with sources. Because while BT9 X-Antibody was previously the best solution, there are also more and more cards being released into the card game that can help. And as always, if you enjoyed this type of content, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more future content. For a refresher on Fortitude, Fortitude was introduced in EX5, though arguably one could say prior to having a keyword, the effect itself was first used by Heavyleomon and became predominantly a purple kind of effect. Fortitude is an effect in which when a Digimon with Digivolution cards is deleted, you play this card without paying its cost. Sound familiar? Heavyleomon literally had this effect, but regrettably it did not have an on-play effect. But when you look at up-to-date Digimon cards that do have this effect, most of the time, they do. Now with the new Vortex Guardian starter dropping some more members of Fortitude, along with the side set of EX8 making some more debut cards for dinosaurs with this type of support, I had to start doing a deep dive on how to potentially cook and make those Fortitude effects trigger constantly on the following turn if they're deleted. So if you're wanting to potentially make Heavyleomon, Marukimon, or even the new Dinomon into a rogue deck that might catch your opponent off guard, let's start cooking. Today's ingredients simply look at Digimon cards that have one specific ability, and that is placing cards underneath Digimon as sources. Each card will have pros and cons on how they can be used, and which particular deck. But by the end of this, we'll see what happens. Because of the colors for these decks, largely I'll be focusing on red, green, and black cards, with the only exception being BT9 X-Antibody. BT9 X-Antibody is the most popular card to use in this video for the fact that it costs 0 memory to use and has no requirements other than having a Digimon in play. Unlike X-Antibody Protoform, you can use this at any time and tuck whenever. It's because of this that you can utilize this in any deck if you're executing combat tricks mid-battle with X-Antibody based Digimon. But Protoform forces you to Digivolve and specifically into X-Antibody trait Digimon. While you could say this is the most basic of the options, the rest are more color dependent. Starting with red cards, Rowdy Rocker is hilariously an old card that could potentially be used for these decks moving forward. Rowdy Rocker is a 2-cost red option card that when hit in security, adds this card to its owner's hand. Its main effect allows you to place one red level 4 or lower Digimon card from your hand under one of your Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. If you do, draw 2. At the cost of this option card in your hand, and one level 4 or lower red Digimon, it's an instant reload of 2 in your hand as well. Now the question you may be wondering, how are you running this in a deck like Heavyleomon and Dinomon? In regards to Dinomon, there are many red cards in the Tyrannomon line that can help with this. Not to mention because Dinomon is a red-green card that already fixes the color requirement and can immediately set you up for the future turn. As for Heavyleomon, red Tamers or bottom basing it in red might be an avenue to consider, as so many cyborg-type Digimon can color cross back into black. By utilizing a bottom base of Agumon for example, you could use their standard effects to play Taikamias and to fix the red source. Not to mention, you have the ability to now utilize BT8 Metal Greymon in conjunction with Heavyleomon, because it is a machine target. But for this option card, it's more so to support Dinomon in the upcoming EX8 release. On a similar topic, Hyper Infinity Cannon is a 6-cost option card that while it does require the colors red and black to use, can be used regardless as long as you have a level 6 Digimon with machine and its traits in play. The main effect of this card allows you to de-Digivolve 3 on one of your opponent's Digimon. Then you may place one card with the cyborg and its traits from your hand or trash under one of your level 6 Digimon with machine and its traits as its bottom Digivolution card, to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less. This option specifically leans more for Heavyleomon because it is a machine type, but for your cyborgs, you do have to get a little crafty here. The consideration was also found as I was testing some options for Machine Dramon and Chaos Dramon. Again, the only issue here is that I feel like you have to build up to your level 6 ASAP in order to utilize this effect. In regards to more recently released cards though, BT17 offers one new card that could be hilariously used in either deck. The Digimon in question is Parasimon. Parasimon makes its second appearance in the Digimon card game from EX2, and has a hand main effect that requires you to pay 4 memory to place this card under one of your level 5 or higher Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and attack an opponent's Digimon with the Digimon this was placed under. Overall, this gives you suspension and pseudo blitz, considering 4 memory will likely end your turn. Its inheritable is an all turns effect where when an opponent's effect would delete this Digimon, you may play 1 Parasimon from this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying cost. It also gives the Digimon plus 3000 DP. Though normally, if this Digimon were to exist on the battlefield, it only has 4000 DP, has Alliance, and an end of attack that allows you to optionally place this card as one of your other Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards. One reason why I like this card in either Dinomon or Heavyleomon decks is that ultimately, both decks will run a lot of green cards potentially, meaning it's easily searchable of cards like Green Memory Boost, Agility Training, and Double Typhoon. The last cards that I looked heavily into when cooking for this video have more to do so with the utensils than anything else, as they're legendary arms traits based. Ragnar Lordmon cards might have seen a few tops here and there, but whether they're black or red cards means that you could run either the sword in the Dinomon deck or the shield in the black base deck like Heavyleomon. It also depends on if you're wanting to look at different level Digimon as well, because you could utilize the level 5 Legend Arms Digimon with other level 5s in your decks. Starting with Dinomon's side of things, Durandamon is a level 6 Digimon that while you could Digivolve into it and attack one of your opponent's Digimon with Raid and Piercing, has a Parasimon hand main effect that lets you pay 3 memory and place this card under one of your Digimon with the Legend Arms traits, or is level 6. Then you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as that Digimon. The inheritable is also Piercing. While you don't get the Your Turn effect, having a Piercing Dinomon means that even if they block, you'll still pierce right through them. On the flip side, Bryway Ludramon has a when Digivolving effect where until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. In the current format where Imperial Dramon is gaining traction, being able to protect from suspension, all sword stripping, is really nice. On top of that, this Digimon also has Blocker and Reboot. But when you tuck this card, much like Durandamon under, say, Heavyleomon for 3 memory, you can de-Digivolve all of your opponent's Digimon by 1 with less DP as Heavyleomon and make it into a blocker. Seems fair, right? Like my last episode, I haven't done too much testing with this yet because Dinomon isn't quite out yet for the Western audiences to start tinkering. But hey, the concept that Fortitude can utilize more cards to recharge is interesting enough for me to consider. Generally, what are cards you think you'll be tinkering with? Rowdy Rocker, Parasimon, or the Legend Arms? Or will you be keeping it simple and clean with BT9 X-Antibody? Let me know your initial thoughts on this Cooking with Digimon video, and I'll catch you next week on more content. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.